Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. So, we've got, let's see, one more priest game we need to get. Let's do Druid and Rogue this time and see if we can make some progress there. Wild Druid or Wild Rogue? Let's start with Wild Rogue, ranked play. Trying to get back up to at least rank 20 this month. It would be nice if we could get back on track and get to rank 18. That certainly would be helpful. I have incredibly small amount of things to say, and as far as news, I was thinking recently, before I actually talk about any news, is kind of the question is, why do I even bother to cover news? And it is kind of strange, definitely. These videos are pre-recorded at least a month in advance. Anything I talk about now is probably going to be completely irrelevant, unless it just turns into a huge issue that continuously moves forward. So the only real reason I'm talking about the news is because it gives me a prompt to talk about things, and because it's the only place where I could actually react right now to things. If I was playing new games as soon as they came out, I guess I could talk about those things, but that gets into this realm of being almost like a streamer who is just going to play some random game and talk about whatever as they're streaming. When I'm covering most games now, I am pretty just strict about talking about the game, trying to be a little timeless with it, trying not to whenever you summon a death rattle, gain one attack. This one has a death rattle, so we'll play this. Apparently this guy doesn't have a death rattle. Oh, he would have if I had played him correctly, but whatever. Let's see. And here's the danger. This is going to be an explosive trap.
Job's done.
Yeah. So I shouldn't have attacked, I should have waited next time played this, actually. That might have actually worked. So I should play this next just for an explosive trap. Quality. Here we go. So, yeah, like, as I was playing Bioshock 1, Bioshock 2, I'm just talking about the game. Pretty much every game I've covered in at least the past 6 months, I have just been talking about the game. It's rather far away from what I was doing when I was recording just The Binding of Isaac, which is a very silly thing, and FTL. I think at those points, in retrospect,
tonight,
I was burning out things. Personally, I hadn't been talking to a lot of people or about a lot of things for maybe a year or two before then. So there was a little bit of like lack of just I don't know what you would say, a lack of conversation going on there. Maybe you'd say even loneliness, although I wouldn't personally call it loneliness because it was mostly intentional. I wasn't talking to people, and even then the things I'm talking about weren't really this. Now I have weren't really things that anybody else would want to talk about that I knew. I have kind of changed that. I've added on my personal Facebook, following some video gaming groups, but immediately I'm starting to see like some of the reasons why I wouldn't enjoy doing something like that. There's a lot of people that on gaming groups, big gaming groups. I look for one. I was in one for a short time that had like 8 people, and that thing just died because I was the only one posting on it. And you really need to be on a group of hundreds of people. But there's a lot of people on there that's just like, I need a co-op partner. There's a lot of people on there that says, hey, can I get some free games here? Anybody got some codes for free games? I was like, oh, okay, so you're just begging. There's a lot of begging on Facebook and general.
Thank you.
So that is also
Hey, give me that!
something to consider. There's a lot of people who want to fight some really old battles of like Xbox versus PlayStation. Not too many really of those people, but a lot of people asking what game should I play next, which makes no sense. A kind of shocking amount, a large amount of people streaming on YouTube, because I would have thought even in a big group there would be nobody there, but I suppose it is a decent place where you could push your channel. I saw one of them and went and looked at their channel, and there was nothing there interesting. They seemed like they were just getting drunk with their friends and recording their phases and playing Battlefield, as a lot of people do. A lot of people just get drunk and play Battlefield or Call of Duty or Halo, and that's what video gaming is to them, and that's the exact type of player I don't like more than anything else because of my age. I don't really have a problem with people playing Farmville on Facebook. I don't really have a problem with people playing Clash of Clans on their phones. Can't really have a problem with people playing Clash of Clans on their phones because I play Clash of Clans on my phone. But even though it's a pretty bad game, the people that only care about and only think first-person shooters exist. They think it goes, there's a Halo 1 year, and then no new games come out worth playing, and then Halo again the next year. Those type of people are usually the bros, usually the people that that I don't get along with. They're my phone charger giving me trouble. It doesn't want to charge. Let's, I guess, stick with a winning ticket there. And so, yeah, it seems really silly people asking what game should I play next. Don't you know what you want to play next? Or in general, shouldn't you give some more direction there? It shouldn't just be so flippant. Unless you're just rich. And if you're rich, then just go buy the newest game or some random game on Steam. Whatever Steam suggests, first thing, go buy it, play it. If you really don't care what style or quality of game you play. That's not really what a video game critic... I can't really help you there.
The legions I command.
But I would hope people would be more picky than that. I would hope. Maybe I'm wrong about that idea.
Bring out your dead.
But a lot of people selling stuff too. They've got like Pokemon Nintendo 64s and they think those are actually worth something and they really aren't. Just because things were quote-unquote limited editions doesn't actually make them worth anything. Technically, toilet paper is limited editions because they are constantly changing the packaging and amount. Doesn't mean the toilet paper is worth anything. that is one of the things they do with toilet paper cut, is they are constantly changing it in a way so it seems like there's more when there actually is less, and they're charging more for less. I'm just gonna end my turn here. Alright. One of the things I guess I could talk about that's not very video game related is I watched Luke Cage on Netflix, and I heard that Netflix was having trouble showing Luke Cage to everybody, which is kind of ironically sad because I honestly hated Luke Cage. I like Daredevil, I like Jessica Jones, I'll probably like the Punisher. I've also learned that if you mark something as lower than 3 stars on Netflix, they won't suggest any more of it to you. So recently Penny Dreadful Season 3 came out, and I really enjoyed Season 3, but I didn't enjoy Season 2, so I marked it as a didn't like it, a 2-star, and then they didn't bother to tell me that the 3rd season comes out. So you can't even really use the system in Netflix the way you would want. If anything, you probably would be best off not rating anything ever. Because if they're not showing you things that you rate too low, they may be really overreacting to things that you rate high. Let's see. So I really did like Penny Dreadful 3. I think Season 3. I think the whole series could have been done a lot better. Certainly, it was very much a Showtime series that wanted to show nudity like Game of Thrones does, which is thrown in there, and all those shows do like that. And if they had focused more on the story, and instead of being a half cable channel and a half porn channel, which is what I feel like how they operate for a lot of these things. They'd probably be better. Even Sci-Fi Channel in one season finally gave up the ghost, and they're like, we can't do quality, so we're gonna just start having sex scenes and everything. I don't mind sex scenes, I just want them to be appropriately placed, and I don't want it to take up any resources from telling a better story. It's kind of like DLC in video games. I don't mind DLC in theory, but I know that any effort to make that DLC is taken away from making a better game of the main game. So speaking of BioShock 2, which I wasn't speaking of BioShock 2, I did Minerva's Den, and Minerva's Den is really good. It's not as good as people were saying it was, though. I don't know why people loved it so much. I think maybe people just had a negative reaction to BioShock 2 compared to BioShock 1. And then to balance that out, they had an overly positive reaction to Minerva's Den. Because there's really not that much special about it. Minerva's Den should have been like in the first game when we ran into Sandra Cohen. It should have been a break in the story that we played for a couple hours. And it by itself makes a nice accelerated experience in which you get all the ranges of all the plasmids and all the tonics, or at least a significant number of them, but while only really running through 3 levels. And if Minerva's Den was, say, randomly generated levels, then I could see some major replayability in that being its own game. just by itself.
Time to die.
But let's take this victory. But yeah, I really hated Luke Cage. I'm bouncing between two things here. But it felt like a black exploitation film. In the worst cases, the writers, personally, I had a major problem with them using the N-word. It felt like the writers felt like they had a free pass to use it, and they used it a lot, a ton. And they had the bad guys say it most of the time, but it still felt very just exploitative. And it's set in Harlem, and almost all the characters are African American, but about 50% of the characters are also criminals. So it gets dangerous to say, to the point of saying the entire community of Harlem is corrupt criminals. The police are all shown in bad lights too. Almost everybody in the entire series is shown in the bad light except for Luke Cage. And it just felt really off, and I did not enjoy it. And it's really a shocker. And I'm expecting a lot of people aren't going to say anything. I'm expecting a lot of people are going to say they liked it just to be supportive. I'm expecting that there probably will be a lot of white knighting, if that's the right phrase, because it's a highly, I don't know if you'd call it highly diverse, that would be the wrong phrase. It is highly filled with minorities as far as actors, because like I said, almost everybody is either African American, and there's a few Mexican descent people, but I'm not sure there was more than 2 like Anglo-Saxon people in the entire game. Well, the entire show. I'm talking about a TV show. Keep it straight in my head. And the fight scenes were really, really bad too. Like, every single fight scene was just people shooting at Luke Cage. Luke Cage is an invincible superhero, so he can't be hurt by bullets, or at least regular bullets. They introduce some bullets that can hurt him later on. But because he can't be hurt by that, all he does is slowly walk towards people shooting at him over and over again. Just non-stop the entire show. There's one final boss fight that is a little bit better, but not by much. On top of that, there's too many characters in the story. There's too many bad guys. They steal complete scenes from Daredevil and do them. They steal complete moments in there. There were definitely things that could have been done better.
Blessed be this job done.
But I don't know, they felt cheap. A lot of product placement in it too. Beats headphones showed up a couple times. A guy mentions Wendy's at one point. There was an alcohol bottle with the label clearly showing on the table. I think this was done cheaply. I think it was done with the expectation of failing. I think the writing team was totally the wrong writing team. There was tons of jazz music cutaways, so in almost all the important scenes, you had to put up with seeing these cameos of famous jazz people singing songs at a club while you were also seeing Luke Cage fight, and it just smacked of a lack of confidence in the whole series. Seems like every little bit was sold. Anytime, that's something the CW tried to do many years ago. Is when they were airing, I think Charmed, and it wasn't the CW back then, and this may not even be that channel, but they would have the story rewritten so people own music clubs, so they could take 5 minutes out of every episode and just not have to pay the writers as much or work them as hard, and instead they just have it probably didn't even save them any money on the writers. It probably was more the fact that like Sony or Viacom or whoever owned that channel also had a music division, and they were trying to promote their own music songs. In this case with Netflix, I don't believe that was really the case, that they were trying to promote those. Maybe they'll come out with a soundtrack.
None may steal us.
That would be a little groundbreaking, but I just think it was just a bad idea that got added to it. I wouldn't mind the music. There was a little bit of jazz, a little bit of rap, a little bit of R&B. I mean, all the right kinds of music to be in a show like that. I just kind of minded that the camera was watching singers actually sing the music when that could have been easily playing in the background of scenes, and nobody would question it. Let's see.
How many fingers do you see?
So, yeah, that's Luke Cage. I was talking about last recording what I was watching, because I'm stretching here trying to find
Back
things
to
to
your
talk
homes.
about. Lucifer has come back on Fox, and it's going in a new and interesting direction. I'm not sure how long this thing is going to last as far as the series, but as long as they can keep on doing it, I'll continue to probably have fun with it, unless it changes. Last Man on Earth is back. I'm not sure how long they can continue with that joke on the same joke on Last Man on Earth. But I love the fact that the main character, Tandy, Phil, whatever he's calling by now, is just this constant liar. That's all he does is
Just a
lie
pinch
through
of
every single scenario. But they're always the dumbest lies possible, and he gets caught in it immediately. And then everybody else is just as crazy for putting up with him, and just as crazy in other ways. I like that idea, but I'm not sure they can continue to do that, because every new season it is just a one-upsmanship. It's like, how can we make the story go further?
Protects me.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is about 2 or 3 episodes in right now, and they're still trying to get the team back together. They played the same trick that they played before at the end of the season, previous season again, but now they're actually showing you the outcome of them having to be in witness protection, and they really shouldn't at the end of every season end up doing that, because it's getting unrealistic. Alright, I wanted to play this and this, but I can't afford to play that, so I'm gonna have to do this. And let's see. Let's heal ourselves and see if I can survive the next turn. I'm not sure I can with this tin sitting here. What else? Is there anything else on TV? Once Upon a Time is back, and maybe that will be good. Problem about Once Upon a Time, though, is every season could probably be worked down into 3 hours of good content, and the rest of it is just extra garbage that's not necessary, and it would have been a smoother, better show. it's one of those series that's going on for too long. It's being designed to go on for too long. And it's a little surprising that nobody has ever thought to just remake some of these series and shorten them up and make them better. I guess the idea of how TV works is you're trying to go for 100 episodes to get syndication, and it's still very much like that.
Versus
If I made my series so I was trying to get 100 episodes for syndication, a lot of series would be 10 minutes. Because there's only so much filler I could put in a video game. I tried to play like the multiplayer in BioShock 2, the original. The multiplayer doesn't exist in the remaster, and it seems like those servers are down. And that's about the only thing I could think you could do to get to 100 episodes, is it would have to have a heavy multiplayer contingent that you can sit there and just constantly play. Now, of course, if it's a roguelike like Binding of Isaac or FTL, I could just continuously play it over and over again for 100 episodes, but I don't feel like doing that, really. I just don't feel that is gonna help my channel. I don't feel like it works now that I have slightly over 500 games on Steam. It'd be ridiculous for me to play every single one for 100 hours and never get to where I'm trying to get to. Yeah, go and just play that.
Job done.
So, the only way you could remaster a TV show and make it shorter is probably to turn it into movies. And I guess that's kind of what they do. The Star Trek reboots are technically remakes of movies, but the original Star Trek movies are technically improved story versions of
Blessed be this
of the TV series. So for the first the 30 seasons that the original Star Trek ran, how many movies were there of the original thing before Generation?
Dead or alive?
It's like 8, I think. Maybe 6 or 7 movies. The Star Trek movies are probably 3 or 4 stories worth of episodes combined. So 4 30-minute episodes, for example. Can I do this? I could, but it would.
Let's show our guests a good time.
So if there were, let's say there were 8 Star Trek movies. 8 times 4 would give you 32 episodes. There was about 36 episodes, I would guess, unless Star Trek seasons went long and there was closer to 24 episodes per season. Even if that was true, it would be 75. So that would be taking out half of the bad ones, which still wouldn't be
Just a pinch of vigor.
unrealistic. So yeah, I guess that is the way you do it. You run your TV series for as long as you can, and then you make some movies. Although it doesn't really work that way for everything, because you have things like the X-Files went on forever, and there was only 2 or 3 movies there. Cheers and MASH went on forever, and I think the MASH movie was before the TV series ever run. And There was never a Cheers movie as far as I recall. I'd be kind of surprised if there was. See, every turn I have this and don't play it.
Tonight,
just
a
getting
tale
worse.
of long lost worlds.
Let's get back onto video games and talk about some of these things. So I have stretched this out well, I guess. There's a new game that just got announced called Beholder, where you spy on your neighbors. And it has this dark, like, shadow figures appearance. That was interesting. So, when I see a game like Beholder, it may be a great game, it may not. We'll just have to see when it comes out. But I do really have to ask myself if they're starting to just run out of game ideas, or if perhaps they've run out of game ideas that will catch people's attention, so they're going extreme with it. Because, man, it seems weird, and so many of these independent games try to put a weird spin on something. Very rarely do you get just a basic game, which might explain why I'm having trouble finding a basic solitaire game on Steam, is because nobody wants to do that. They all want to do something like Regency Solitaire that puts everything in a Victorian era and you're trying to throw a ball and marry your love while playing solitaire. It's like just adding too much to games when they don't really need to be to play. Yeah, not really much to talk about that game, actually. I just thought I'd talk about the idea, and that leaves me with a decent amount of stuff to talk about in the next recording. Also in the next recording, we'll, I guess, continue to try to finish the priest, and then we haven't even done anything with the hunter and mage. That's not great. And if I end right here, you don't get a chest at all. So if you don't even bother to make it to 20, you don't get any reward at all. If you make it to 18, however, the reward's not very different, if any different. Maybe if I could consistently get up to 15 or something, it would be different. Anywho, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me further, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.